Let's welcome the rock star, the man, the legend, Mr. Michael Robinson to the house. What up? Hey. Welcome.
Good, everybody. Can everybody hear me?
Yes, you're good.
Okay. Good to see you, brother. How you doing?
Hey, likewise, man. You look like new money over there, man. Thank you for hopping in here.
Always, always. If I could get the call from Antonio, you got to answer. When the
Thank you,
cellular call, you got to answer.
brother. Thank you, my brother. I appreciate that. I know you got the recipe because you've done deals on all levels from single family, which is your primary, and then you went even over to multifamily properties and done multi-million-dollar deals. We get members that, like Gael, that has property. Maybe they want to build on that property. Have many members that they get land somewhere. They want to know what's the steps from A to Z. Like, where do I start? And that's why I wanted to bring you on here to share your expertise on giving them some insights on where we are. Because even in the back office, we do have a plan on where you need to go. It's always good to hear, like from someone like some of our members and team members and some of our coaches that know, like right now, if there's been some changes. So thank you for hopping in here and sharing.
hmm Yeah, it's good to be here. I always like, spreading knowledge and helping people. The real estate is a great, a, a financial, river to swim in, but it can be turbulent. It's not a calm swimming pool. Sometimes the river has ebbs and flows.
Yeah.
Sometimes you need to have your life vest on. Sometimes you need to know when to get out of the water. So it's good to have a group, that can feed you and assist you, in those turbulent times. It was really, really good. I mean, I've enjoyed listening to Gail and her experiences, and even Ernst too. Shout to Ernst to, that inspired me to go even a little harder. Because you can't take. I tell everybody all the time, don't take one day for granted. Every day is valuable, and you know, you hear that story of, hey, everybody's got the same 24 hours. Well, that's not always the case. You know what
Mm,
I mean? But
point.
I like to feel like at the end of my day, whether I put in 4 hours or 8 hours or 10 hours out in the field, that I really accomplished something that day. It really helps me sleep peacefully when I know I've given my full effort and I've got things checked off my list, and I really, when I get up the next morning, I'm like, okay, I'm ahead because I cleared my list, and I don't have stuff pulling over to the next day. And a lot of times, real estate is about being a problem solver, right?
Mhm.
So, as you said, I've done the gambit of, flips, new construction. Now I'm in multifamily. So a lot of times too, it's not about, I heard somebody mention this in the last month or so about sometime, when we were younger, our parents taught us this mindset of save, 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 work 40 hours a week, save, 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 you know,
Mhm.
get a job, get something stable, you need your 401k, you need your health insurance. But a lot of us have something in us that's not it. Like we want to be entrepreneurs, we want to put in, learn something that we don't have to work 40 hours a week, or we learn something and we can go hard for a few years and build something. And
Yeah.
sometimes it's not always about, you know storing your pennies and how what is it, the squirrel saves up for winter or something, and they store all the nuts in the hut, in a
Yeah.
little cubby hole in the tree. But
Yeah.
I look at my dollars as, as chess pieces. You got to send them back out there to fight the good fight. It's not about, okay, I can just store my money up. You got to make that money work for you. And that's the beauty of real estate. So, you may make profits on a flip, a rehab, a wholesale transaction, or you make money on, a new construction and you sell it. And you're like, okay, I'm not going to go shopping. I'm not going to go buy this, buy that, or take a trip, and now you start back to zero. No, let me bear down. Let me go put that money into another deal, another project. And for me, I rolled it into, multifamily. So that's where my money is still building, still getting interest, still gaining, appreciation and all of that good stuff. So, I, I- it's so much in real estate. It's like, where do we start? Um, but we're going to talk about new construction. So I think people want to know, like, I got a piece of land, where do I start? And I like what Gail touched on. She was saying, hey, I'm getting real nice with the site plans. I found some software, and I always, I get these calls a lot. Hey, I got some land, that got inherited, it got passed down to me, or I'm looking at a lot, can I build on it? And the first thing I'll ask is, okay, well, do you have a survey? So step one is, do you have a survey? Just because you're standing somewhere, where's the left side of the property? Where's the right side of the property? How much frontage of this property is yours? How far back does the property go? Like, those are the things we need to know to start the conversation. And then I'll ask, okay, are there utilities there? And they're like, well, what do you mean? And I'm like, because I bought lots where there was a house there and the house burned down. So you don't see the house, right? It's overgrown, it's got trees, this and that. And I'll drive the property, I'll walk on the frontage of the property and I'll look for a water meter. And I'll say, oh, what is this? I see a metal box. I start scraping the grass and the weeds away and the dirt. And you pull the top open, boom, you got water. So, there's the utility. Now I don't have to pay, 4,500, $5,000 for a water tap because my water line is already there from the street. So hopefully the sewer's in good shape too. So those are some basic questions. Or I got a build going on now in Ellenwood, a single family. So one of my contractors said, hey, I got a guy that he's got this land, his grandmother's next door, she's older, and his family's had this land, as long as he's been alive. He grew up with his grandfather. Like, there was a workshop there. So he remembers playing in that property when he was a kid growing up. And now he's like, okay, well, I don't just want to sell it. Like, I want to do something to create, some financial freedom, which is a great mentality to have. So, I went out, I walked the land. I said, okay, well, it's not even, so we're gonna have to do some site work to grade the property. These trees got to come down. And I said, well, you got plenty of room, but guess what? There's a big slope over here. So you got to look at the topography, the geography of the land. And that's what the survey and site plan in combination give you. And then once you have the site plan done, it tells you how much house you can put there, right? So the plan was a single family. So then the person who did the site plan, he's like, okay, well, this is where each corner of the house is going to be. You can do 1,900 square feet to 2,300 square feet comfortably. And that's with a ranch. Now, if you, of course, you add a second floor, now that doubles your square footage. So for him, he was like, okay, I'm going to live in it for a few years. And he's already got his plan together. So he's like, okay, well, if I live in it for 2 years and I sell it, there's a certain amount on the tax side where I don't have to pay taxes on that profit based on, my basis or my cost basis in the house from my construction or whatever. So that's again, he's already now a game plan where he can sell it and avoid taxes. So we're already about 75% of the way done. We've got our MEPs done. Drywall's about to start because the MEPs have passed inspection. That's your mechanicals, your electrical, and your plumbing. So HVAC, electrical, and plumbing is already done. Now it's inspected, it's all passed, and we can close the walls up with drywall. And then, you're closer to the finish line. Then you're putting in your kitchen cabinets, your painting, all of that good stuff. So, like I say, I'll go back again. It starts with your survey. You need a survey because I remember I was looking at a lot that was in Decatur, and it had a city sewer running through the middle of it. And I was like, okay, that's why nobody touched it. That's why it's sitting here. Now we could have moved it, but the city would have made us pay like some exorbitant price to move that sewer line into the side of the property, which is
Wow.
called setback. You know what I mean? That's usually 7.5 feet on the left, 7.5 feet on the right. So, there's a space between houses, and in most, building code, that's what's there as a setback on the left and the right. But that cost negated the entire value of the land.
Let me show something because you just touched on that. I was going to show this, but this will actually go right into it. Like this is one of the main reasons you want to do that survey. Uh, Check this out with this dad and
Oh
son.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I know what
Check
you're
this
talking
out.
about.
Check this out.
Thinking back on the new piece of land they just bought in South Florida. And we mean piece of land.
Howdy, neighbors.
Kerville Holness and his son Kerville Jr. thought they got the deal of a lifetime, paying $9,100 in an online auction for a home valued at $177,000. But you know what they say about deals too good to be true. The father and son team thought they were bidding on this property right here, when in fact what they ended up buying was a sliver of land about this wide, starting from the street, goes through the garage, 100 feet to the backyard. That's right. They didn't buy this 3-foot wide patch of green. They bought this, a strip less than an inch in width. It runs right through the house all the way to the back. They feel duped because they say the real estate auction showed the villa, not the strip of land. Yeah, they're actually trespassing.
Yeah. If I hold my feet up,
Don't make me call it Inside Edition.
Their new neighbors can't quite believe it. What do you think about this?
I think that's ridiculous. I think it's just, I don't know how they even got to sell the land in the first place.
So how could this happen? The county claims the father and son didn't read the fine print carefully. They say it clearly shows the land value being $50 with a building value of $0. This is from the county, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right. They're trying to say that this red strip right here is what was shown.
Wasn't
and that
shown.
You should have known.
Wasn't shown. This could happen to anybody. It really could have.
Thankfully, they haven't lost their sense of humor. But we are having a barbecue here tonight.
Oh, are you? Oh.
Welcome to the neighborhood.
Wow.
Yeah.
That was really interesting, right?
And they got off kind of lightly, to be honest with you. I mean, imagine if they paid 90,000 instead of 9,000, they wouldn't have been as jovial about it. But that's an issue. You got to do your due diligence, and I preach due diligence a lot. And I also preach, inspect what you expect. That's what dealing with construction and rehabs. I don't. I've got a great rapport with the contractors that I use, but they already know, like, Mike is coming out, he's going to inspect before we get paid. Sometimes you get these contractors like, hey, I'm finished. Hey, can you cash at me, Zelle? Where are you? Can you come to the job site, bring some money, or send it? And I'm like, well, I'm going to have to walk that.
Right. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about that, because I see a lot of new investors. It's always they run into that because these contractors get a sense, oh, you're new, they're going to try you. Like, even if you're experienced, from time to time, they're going to try you and see how far you're going to go. Say, hey, we're doing this project. Maybe you can give me half. I'm like, no, we're not giving half. I need to come out there, look at this property. I need to walk it. Let's see what's going on. So how do you handle that, dealing with new contractors?
Yeah, what I usually do is, I'm a good listener. I like other people to do a lot of talking, so I can disseminate, what's valid and what's invalid in the conversation. So, contractor, I look at his presentation, I look at his work truck, I look to see what do you got on your work truck? You know what I mean? Are you carrying materials? Where are you going? and then after he's done his presentation, yeah, we'll measure it out. I'll look at a contractor in the studio, got a tape measure on him. Like, you
Yeah.
just popped a quote up, for drywall without measuring anything, that just, so certain things validate you, and then certain things can invalidate you. So if a contractor's like, oh yeah, look at the house, how many square feet? And I'm like, okay, it's 2,000 square feet. Like, don't take my word for it. You doing the work. So if you're gonna give me a quote, like, yeah, you need to pull your tape measure out. You need to start measuring, and then I need to know, okay, well, when are you gonna start, and when are you gonna finish? Because sometimes people say, oh, I can start tomorrow, but then they don't show up for a couple of days, and then you get this call, you calling them and they ain't answering, and
Mhm.
oh, we had to finish up another job. Blah, blah, blah. Well, why did you start this chaos over here when you couldn't finish? You telling me you'd be back in a week? Like, you didn't tell me that when you started, So you gotta ask the right questions in the beginning to avoid a lot of pain and headache, later. That's of course, what you learn over time, and then you have to have people around you to say, well, did you ask him this? Did you ask him that?
Yeah.
Did he just give you a quote? Like, I'll ask you, hey, email me the quote, write it out. What's your scope of work? Like, what are the responsibilities that you say you're gonna do for this $10,000 worth of drywall? Okay, well, I do need you to see, I need to see that, hey, I'm gonna clean up the job site when I'm done. That's a big part. I say, hey, you're gonna clean all this up when you're finished, right?
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? So don't call me to get paid. And then I pull up and I got scrap material everywhere. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
and I'm big on a clean job site. So my roofers know when they come out, when I walk the property, I can look up at the roof, but I'm not climbing on the roof, you know,
Yeah.
to I can look up there, okay, you put new shingles on the roof, cool. I'm walking around to see how many nails you left on my property. You know what I mean? Because them nails gonna end up in my tires or somebody else's tires. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? I want to see all the wrappings and all the packaging is gone, like all that scrap. Like, I'm walking around looking for all them pieces of shingle that's been cut. Like, that shouldn't be laying in my grass. You know what I mean? Or in my
Right.
driveway. And it's, hey, if it's a couple hundred nails laying around, you need to get all of them up. Like, the
Yeah.
job site is not clean. So I'm big on a lot of that stuff. But it's a process for new construction, and it's good to have somebody to walk you through those steps. Um, there was a gem that I wrote down when I listened to Gail's story about that project on the 5 acres, because I've got a guy that I'm cool with. He's a subdivision builder, so I go to a lot of his job sites and I see what's going on. He's got a big one on Memorial, that's in Decatur, that's going toward the downtown area, on that back end of Memorial, and that was on about 2.5 acres, I think. And originally those are townhouses, right? And they were originally approved to build like 22 units, maybe. So what he did was, there's a septic system. Now they give you a cap or a limit to how much you can put on, per acre. You got to have some green space and this and that. But the sewer system can only take so much, into the system. The septic system, can only take so much. And they'll do mathematical calculations and say, okay, on this 2.5 acres, you can do, hypothetically, okay, 22 units. Well, there's something now that builders are getting more creative to help get more bang for their buck out of a parcel. There's an electronic system where you got to drop like a 500-gallon tank or something, bury it, and that stores your septic and it discharges into the DeKalb County system after midnight. It electronically, so it's not like 40 people are flushing their toilets at the same time, running their showers at the same time. This system stores all of that and then it disperses it in increments into the system. So to maximize that acreage that Gail's got, whatever builder she's going to use, you're going to definitely want that, electronic septic system, because now, and I don't know the layout of the 5 acres or whatever, but the land could be sloped, this and that. Usually you got to get the storm retention, tank in there as well. That's also to save on the water system. Watershed management is going to say, hey, you need to have a certain storage capacity based on you putting 50 or 60 townhomes over here. So all of those things play a part in construction, and you have to learn how to maximize all those different pieces. So it's good to have somebody who's done it before and is already aware of that before you get in the game. So that way you have less headache, less stress, and you sleep a little better at night.
100. That's amazing. I mean, I see Gail back there. She's excited already. She's like, oh man, because the better questions you ask, the better value you're gonna get from the person. Because if a person that's not trying to do the job, you start asking them certain questions, they're not gonna know how to respond. Like that's why when I'm doing a project, I'll like sit in front of the house. They don't know who I am, but I'll text 10 people and tell them just come on out, show up. Here's the lot box. And each one's gonna tell me something different. By the time 3 or 4 went through there, that gave me stuff to think about. I'm like, okay. Now I can ask better questions. So that's one of the reasons we have people like Michael on here, because now you can ask better questions even to a GC on your next project. Like they're gonna be like, wow, how'd you know about that? Wow, maybe she knows this. Like you're gonna be able to get a better response from the right people, and you're gonna be able to discern if they're the right people you want to even talk to, because this is real stuff we're talking about, current stuff.
Yeah.
Wow, so that's interesting. I didn't even know that part. So that's interesting. A point. What you talked about grading in that survey, I've seen people buy property that's in a flood zone, and they didn't realize till later on. And now we can't build. We're in the flood zone. You know what I mean? It looks great. That's why there's no house in this spot. It's a flood zone. It's like
Yeah.
So wow.
So there's a lot of factors to consider, but the survey and the site plan really helps you know what you can do there and what you can't do. Then from there, then you move to the architect. All of this stuff is the due diligence, the groundwork to finally say, okay, what can I do here? Can I split this parcel in 2? Do I have enough where I can put 2 houses here? Okay, well, now I need to go a different route. I'm gonna have to pause this part. And now I want to have, a site planner split the parcel, because I got something big enough where I can build a house on the left and a house on the right. You know what I mean? So by doing the proper due diligence, it'll tell you how to maximize that parcel, And then you got to get into other things, like construction is not always just about building. It's about looking at it as an investment and what you can do with that investment. So, we looked at the comps in the area. So the client was like, hey, I want a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 3-bedroom, 2 baths, 2-car garage. We're doing like 1,900 square foot ranch. So we got an open floor plan, like it's nice and modern. Like his house is really, it's going to be a brand new type of floor plan that, for him to sell that house, when a person walks in there, they're going to be like, wow, there's going to be a lot of wow factor. He's picking out really nice, like his finishes are going to be really nice. He's not putting granite, he wants to put quartz in. He's going to have a huge island, tall cabinets with crown molding. So these are all good sales features. So it's not just about, hey, let's build it and get on to the next. Let's maximize the value of what we build. And then we're looking at comps in the area, comparables. So what are the new construction selling for over there? Because sometimes somebody may say, hey, I want 5 bedrooms. I need 6 bathrooms. I need a basement. I need a cinema. You know what I mean? I need a 4-car garage. And we're like, whoa, 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 whoa. You want to build a $700,000 house in an area that can only support $400,000 or $500,000 house. You
Boy,
notice, what you're building is out of the ordinary. It's not the norm.
yeah,
Like maybe we can do 4 bedrooms, 3 bathrooms, a 3-car garage.
yeah,
So, everybody, they build for different reasons. They might say, hey, this is my forever house. This is what I want. Cool. But we may say, hey, maybe you should look and see if there's a lot in an area where there's $1 million houses. And then that's where you put that type of house. You know
yeah.
what I mean?
Good
Like,
point.
don't be the lonely, the lonely mansion when everybody else is here and you want to build this. So there's a lot of different perspectives that we look at, when a client says, hey, this is what I want to build. So that one in Ellenwood, the guy was easy to work with. He already had a plan. And then, he saw how we moved diligently and he was like, yeah, I want to work with you because, you're not going to let me go overboard. And then I see where you're saving money too, so that's the thing. Once you have some go-to contractors, that helps you save money. So when people come in and they give you something exorbitant, you got to have guys that are not trying to get rich off one job, as they say, So you want to deal with contractors that are timely, they show up. And sometimes it's, some of these guys aren't professional. They're like, hey, could I text you the quote? And I'm like, no, could you type it out? And this, sometimes you don't hear back from the guy. That's not how he moves. And maybe another one of the questions you should ask is, do you have E&O insurance? Do you have insurance? Like, I had trees cut down before and, that's always expensive. And I asked the guy, oh, hey, send me your insurance. Not everybody sends it because who knows if they got it. That's not the guy who I'm going to call to cut this big limb that's hanging over the top of the house and it's got a power line next to it. I'm like, hey, can you send me your insurance? The quote wasn't bad. You got insurance, right? Send me it. And guess what? I'm going to call it too. I'm not just going to take this piece of paper that you emailed me. I'm going to call whoever Davis and Scott Insurance is out of Mississippi somewhere. Like, and then, hey, you might call and you get the boo, boo, boo. This number,
Right.
This is not a service, right? So
Right.
that's a part of due diligence. You have to verify, what these guys tell you.
Wow. I mean, Michael, you've been dropping some gems in here. Every newbie in here can sound like an expert tomorrow after this conversation because you're giving them the right questions to ask, and the power is asking the right questions. And some people will just disqualify themselves based on them not even knowing. And it's good for you. It's easier for them to just not just disqualify themselves because they're like, wow, I'm way over my head before they even start. Because you get somebody to go ahead.
Question over there from Calvin too, who I can grab real quick.
Yeah.
So Calvin's asking about a performance bond, who pays for it. And doing a new construction, a single family, or even if you're doing, multifamily, me personally, I don't require a performance bond. Like if I'm getting to build a house, you got like 100 different people that are going to go through that house. You're going to have, your electrician is going to, like, starting from the beginning, like, okay, they got to pour the foundation, they got to dig out the basement. Like that's going to be 5-10 guys, they got to put in the metal framework, the rebar, then the concrete truck has to come pour. Then the framers have to come in and you got to order your lumber package and they got to frame the house up. That might be 5-10 guys. So every single trade is coming in and out, back to back. And you have to know how to navigate having all of these 100 people coming in back to back to make your project move and move quickly. You got to have the next guy, the next contractor right there so that you don't have these time delays, because either if you're doing it yourself, you're pulling hard money, you're pulling draw money, an inspector's got to come out before you get your money. If it's from the bank has to send somebody out. You're in a construction loan. The bank is saying, and the bank will say, hey, we're going to give you 20, we're going to give you 12 draws. And this, and this has to be done before this draw. Then when you get to this next stage, then call us. We're going to inspect everything and you get another draw. So sometimes it's regimented. You know, it's not you picking and choosing, hey, I need $1,000. It doesn't always work like that with construction draws from a bank. So there's usually no performance bond from all of these contractors. You know, it's you as a GC. Well, you're not the GC. I would say, you know, you can project manage your own project. You don't have to hire somebody. You can call in all of these subs and get the house built yourself. But that's once you learn the game and you have a plumber on speed dial, electrician on speed dial, a roofer, the framer, the drywall, the concrete guy, you know, who's going to pour the driveway. Then you got all your punch out and subs, like who's going to put the windows in, the doors in, the flooring, you know, who's going to run the trim around the windows, who's going to run your baseboards, you know, all of this type stuff. Who's going to put the handles on the doors, you know, who's going to put in your closets, your shelving, you know. So all of these things come into play. And that's why I say you're going to have 100+ people walking through the house to get the house done, if not more. And you got to manage all of these people going in and out and inspecting the work as you go. So no performance bond. Performance bond might be a little bigger if you have like a state contract. That's where I kind of hear performance bonds more. If you know you're bidding on a state job, right? Hey, I'm going to come in and drywall, you know, this whole building. It's a state-owned building. They're going to say, okay, well, I need a performance bond if you're saying you're going to do this job, because if you don't perform, then I'm calling them to pay it out so somebody else can get in here and do the job. But more so with single family, that's not, performance bond isn't really in that sort of vocabulary for a single family.